I used to be.
Hello. As you all can leave, feel free to grab some pizza. There's at the back of the room.
Want to say that again?
Muted.
Hello everyone who's joining us online. So we'll be waiting about 2 minutes here to see if senators are coming in, and then we'll go ahead and start the meeting.
I didn't know that because did I show you the kid? I'm using this reference for I don't know. It's a beautiful brain. What are you doing with ours? This is. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. All right, and with that, we're going to move to the first item on our agenda, which is our guest speaker, Constanza Castro. And to introduce Constanza, I have our chief of staff, Humberto.
All right. Thank you all for being here. It is great to have our first session back in presence after a couple months of having it just online. We are very, very excited to have this guest speaker tonight. This person, Constanza, used to be in these chambers where you are sitting right now a couple of years ago, and she contributed so much to this space. At least I, at a very young age, had the privilege of meeting her and got very inspired, and it's one of the main reasons why I stayed in Senate, to carry on everything that her, along with other people in my first couple of years, worked on. And we're really, really excited to have Constanza back. She'll have a couple things to share with you, either like during the Senate or after Senate. And yeah, we're very, very happy to have you here with us again, Constanza, after several years. Yeah, this is your house, you know, always welcome. So we're happy to have you, and feel free to take on the mic.
Thank you, Humberto. It is so nice to see everyone, even if it is virtually, dialing in actually from DC. For those of you who don't know me, you're probably wondering a little bit about who I am. So first, as Humberto said, my name is Constanza Castro. Pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I actually graduated from the University of Kansas in 2019, and then did my master's at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, where I served as the executive vice president. Currently, I work at the U.S. State Department as a foreign service officer, and what that means practically is that I serve as a diplomat for the United States federal government. My current role is that I represent the United States as the vice consul for U.S. Embassy Oslo. And I have to reiterate, because this is required of me, that these are my own personal opinions and not those of the U.S. federal government or the State Department. So 6 years ago, I began my journey in the Student Senate as the appointed senator for the Latin American Student Union. My time as a student senator saw unprecedented events in the Senate's history. This included the Rock, Chalk, Invisible Hawk movement and the rise and fall of the multicultural student government. In my time in Senate, I did practically every possible role you could imagine. I served as an appointed senator, an elected senator, a vice committee chair, a committee chair, a secretary, a treasurer for one of the committees. I was an executive branch advisor, and I also served as the president of the multicultural student government. It is both my experience within the chamber, but also my experience working in diplomatic spaces. That is the reason why I am here today. You know, it's so nice to hear from Humberto that I had inspired others. To be honest, if you had asked me when I graduated if I would ever come back and speak to the Student Senate, I probably would have said no, never, I will never come back. And so I think that is to say that my time in the Senate was anything but easy. And I think to some degree it parallels very closely to this year of the Student Senate and kind of dealing with a lot of the issues that you all are dealing with today. I want to say that talking with Mia about the present challenges of the Senate compelled me to come speak to you all today. And my hope is that I can impart some of the lessons that I learned, often the hard way, for you all as you work in this body, but also as you go and continue on have your own professional careers beyond the Student Senate. And so my first kind of lesson, or my first thing that I want you all to take away, is that you have to understand people's common humanity. And what I mean by that is you really need to get to know everyone you're working with and their motivations. At Embassy Oslo, we are a team. We all work interconnectedly, and we have a common mission. And that common mission at Embassy Oslo is to make sure that the US's relationship with the Norwegian government is practical and is effective. Likewise, in the Student Senate, you all have a common mission, and that common mission is to serve students, right? And so even though you might be different, you are all coming together for a common purpose. And so it's really important to understand people's humanity. And what I mean by that is that you really need to sit down and get to know each other. And I mean just beyond the surface level, I see this person every week at Senate. During my time in Senate, even though there were people in the chamber that vehemently disagreed on a myriad of topics, we would actually hang out and see each other outside of the Senate space. During my time, I made it my mission to get coffee with every single senator in the chamber and to understand what motivated them to want to serve students and want to represent students in the body. Everyone's reason is different, but understanding those reasons makes it easier to work as a team. And when you disagree with someone on something, it helps you focus on the issue at hand rather than things like personal attacks, which, as someone who was in the Senate for 4 years, can speak to the fact that it happens. And so it's much easier when you really get to know the people you're working with to avoid that problem. And that's something that I use in my work every day. I serve as a political officer, and my job is to talk to foreign contacts. And so it's really important that I get to know things about their lives, their families, what motivates them in order to move the relationship forward. The second one, and this is a lesson that I did not learn until I left the Senate, was to not let details impede progress. And what I mean about this is sometimes, in particular in the Senate, we get caught up with very precise language and things don't always get done. In my job at the State Department, often I am assigned a memo task and I have to turn that around in an hour or even 2. That's not to say that words don't matter and the language that we use is not important, but that is to say that you have to recognize at some point you have to make a decision on things. And I know as a young person, sometimes that's scary and sometimes you're unsure. But if the US, for example, waited for every UN resolution to be worded exactly correctly and perfectly every time, nothing would ever get done. We wouldn't get anything through at the UN. We wouldn't get anything done at the federal government level. And so some issues really are urgent and require quick responses. My time in the Senate, we spent sometimes an hour, 2, 3 debating 5 or 6 words in a resolution. That is not productive. And it's something I wish I had learned earlier to articulate that not everything is going to be perfect all the time, and that's okay. Because sometimes the issue is more important than that language being exactly right or exactly perfect. My third lesson, and I think this is one that is especially important because we live in a pandemic, is to take care of yourself. My mom always told me the most important person to you is you. You are no help to anybody in this body or in your professional life or in your personal life if you are not okay. And what I mean by that is that a space like the Student Senate inherently is going to have conflict. And oftentimes those conflicts can feel very personal. And it is okay to step away and say, you know what, I need a break. It is okay to take some time to collect yourself. I see this all the time at the executive level. Sometimes there are negotiations that we're doing that get heated, and both sides have said, you know what, it's time to take a lunch break, it's time to take a coffee break, it's just time to take a break. And that's okay. And I think, in my time in the Student Senate, we had a lot of very contentious issues regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, which what I've been hearing is what's happening now as well. And I think it's okay to take some time, step back, reassess the situation, but make sure, again, that you are the person that you are taking care of first. You're not of any use to anybody in the chamber otherwise. Lesson number 4, and I think this is probably the toughest one to swallow, I think both as a professional and somebody with the expertise that I have, is sometimes you need to trust in the expertise and experience of others. There are some experiences, no matter how hard you try, you will just not understand. And let me give you a very specific example. So some of my political work often requires me to work on very, very tough human rights issues. You know, we're talking, you know, war crimes, things of that nature. And often I work with individuals who are victims of, you know, regimes and things of that nature. I am never, ever going to understand what those individuals have been through. However, I can be empathetic. And it is in those times that it is important that instead of thinking of myself, that I emphasize and give those individuals space and support. There are going to be issues that arise within the Student Senate chamber that you are not personally going to be affected by or have personal experience in, and that's okay. But what you should do, and what I ask for you to do, is instead let those individuals with those experiences speak, hear them out, and give them support. It is okay to not be knowledgeable about things. There's no way to be knowledgeable about everything, but use other people's expertise and allow them to use that expertise to make the student body better. And then I think the last thing, and I think this is the most important thing, is to contribute to a collaborative environment. No one's experience in the Senate is going to be the same. And it's the same for the Foreign Service. No two diplomats' experiences are the same. However, this space is harder on some people than others for a myriad of reasons. That could be because they represent a vulnerable constituency. That could be because of personal matters. You know, the list goes on and on. My belief is that your responsibility as a member of the body is to create an environment where individuals can speak their concerns and where those concerns can be given due deliberation. That doesn't mean that every issue is going to get resolved with like a neat, tidy bow on top always, but that students feel safe that they can come to a senator and say, XYZ thing happened, what can the Senate do? And that senator can come in the space, speak those concerns, and have those concerns be given their due time. And I think that that's really important, both from a professional standpoint, but also from the specifics of working in this chamber. You know, it's a tough, the Student Senate's tough. You know, I was an executive vice president for a Senate at an Ivy League university, and I actually thought that that was easier than being a senator in this chamber. And part of that is because the Student Senate at KU controls the most money out of any student senate in the entire country. That's a big responsibility, and that big responsibility obviously comes with both its positives and its negatives. And all I ask is that, you know, you just really consider the importance of that, and you really think about that. You know, tonight you're going to hear legislation that I know is going to be difficult and contentious and probably have conflict, and that's okay. You know, just make sure that you keep in mind the things that I've told you today. 1, look at people's common humanity, try to understand where they're coming from, their reasons. You know, don't get bogged down in details because, you know, it is closer to the end of the year, you run out of time. If something gets too heated or too crazy, take a minute, take a step back, that's okay. Listen to others who have more expertise than you. That is the thing I think that will serve you very, very well in both this chamber, but also professionally. You know, I serve in a very hierarchical organization, and I have to listen to the people who have more experience and who are higher up than me. And lastly, just try to contribute to a collaborative environment. You have the same mission at the end of the day, and that mission is to serve the student body here at the University of Kansas. So work together. Don't, you know, you can have conflict, but at the end of the day, make sure that you're all working towards that same common goal. All right, that's all I have, but thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Constanza. Oh, I think my mic here. All right, and I went ahead and allocated 5 minutes for questions if we have any from the chamber. If not, we'll just move on, but are there any on the floor presently? All right, any on the teams? All right, well, thank you very much, Constanza. We would really appreciate you coming.
Oh, wait, there's a question
here.
Can I get a mic?
Yeah. One's right there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for your presentation, Constanza. We all appreciate it. I'm sure I'm speaking to the choir when I say that Student Senate is, for lack of a better term, often an extraordinarily toxic environment that is deleterious to the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of all who are involved with it. How do you experience those feelings in your time in Senate? How did you deal with it? And in hindsight, do you think it was worth it?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Okay, I'm going to take it in the 3 pieces. I think the first is yes. So I served in Senate, I always say, in the perfect 4 years, but also the worst 4 years, because everything crazy that, you know, they talk about in Senate history essentially happened in the 4 years that I was here. And so, you know, there was a lot of things to deal with. When I served as president of the Multicultural Student Government, I oversaw 2 impeachments, writing a whole constitution and a bunch of other things. So it was definitely a lot. I would say, yeah, this space can be difficult. And I think it's important to recognize, however, that there's also positives, right? And I think, you know, you have to balance those, you know, as a personally on whether, you know, that's worth it for you or not. I will say, if you're a person whose experience has mostly been positive in the Senate, your goal should be that everyone's experience is the same or close to the same in terms of positivity. And so one of the things that I did when I was a senator was I really tried to mentor incoming senators, especially when I was a junior and senior at the university. It was really important to me that all of the things that I didn't know how to do when I came in as a senator, that the new senators who were coming in did know how to do, because that took away a lot of the stress that they had coming in. In terms of, do I think it was worth it? I do, because I think that there is something unique about this body that prepares you for the real world in a way that a lot of other things do not. One is you have to learn how to, you know, work together with people, often when you are very upset. And I have this experience now working as a diplomat. There are times when we are talking about issues that are very frustrating. And we still have to work with other countries diplomats. Sometimes there's personality clashes. You know, you meet a diplomat and they're not your favorite person. And I think what I've learned from this chamber is that regardless of that, if you focus on that common mission, you can get a lot of things done. And I would also say there's just skills that you learn in this chamber that I think, particularly if you're thinking of working in politics, policy, or any kind of service-related sector, advocacy sector, are really crucial. And that's, you know, learning how to speak, learning how to represent others, and learning, you know, how to get things done. So that would be my answer.
Thank you very much for that answer. It was very thoughtful and helpful.
All right, and with that, we have a minute 30 on the floor. Any other questions, either in person or on Teams? All right, then. Thank you very much, Constanza. We really appreciate you coming to speak to us. And you are free to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but we will be moving on to the rest of our business. All right, and with that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes on the floor? All right, I see a motion from Sadie, or I see a motion from Mary and then a second from Sadie. All right, and is there any opposition to this motion? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move towards a vote. All right, that vote should be live now on the Students Assembly Teams. Please make sure to get your vote in because this will be our first attendance vote of the night. And I'll let that poll run for about 2 minutes. Alright, we need 7 more votes for us to reach quorum here, so we're just waiting for those to come in. Hi everyone, reminder that we are voting here. We're still seeking 7 more votes to reach our quorum number for this evening. So if you have not voted on the poll and have the ability to do so, please get that in now. We are currently awaiting 3 more votes to reach our quorum. So if you are a voting member, please make sure to get a vote in. All right, everyone, we're still looking for 2 votes to reach our quorum number. So if you know someone who's supposed to be here that hasn't arrived yet, please be sure to text them, reach them somehow to get their votes in. Alright, since it's not clear whether or not we have quorum as it stands right now, I'm going to have the Internal Affairs Director call the roster. And if we have not reached quorum by the end of the Internal Affairs Director calling the roster, then I will have to end this session due to lack of quorum. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Max.
Let's begin. Noah Jensen. Yes, can you please, if I say your name, say you're present and voting? Noah Jensen. Twice. Dylan Morrell. Evan Winden.
I'm present.
Nate Nielsen. I'd like a round of applause for everyone that's present. Elena Raya.
Present.
Jet Simrick. My roommate's not here. Malik Benayet.
Present.
Okay. Blake Bush.
Present.
Tanner Elton. What are we at? Dorothy Haggard.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm getting kind of tired of plowing them up to do that anymore. Zach Nielsen. Tasman Venti.
She's online.
Jenny Lorraine Nielsen. Zachary Patton. Cynthia Isaka.
Present.
Tapesha Medina.
Present.
Conrad Sacco. Giovanna Pastore.
Present.
Tan Nguyen. Ankit Prasad. Brett Holligan. Lena Abdelmodi.
I have some good news. We have met quorum.
Yes, our new number for the night is 33 due to a senator not sending in a resignation. So we will go ahead and move on with this. I'm going to go ahead and presume that everyone has voted who can vote. Solid. Right, go ahead and delete that. And with a vote of 33 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, this motion clearly passes. I love the clapping enthusiasm, yes. Every motion passes. All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda, and that is the officer report from me. So Umberto, if you'll go ahead and take the chair.
Thank you. Would 5 minutes be okay?
Yeah, 5 minutes should be fine.
All right. So as soon as folks compliant, yeah, thank you. Awesome, you can go ahead.
All right, so this is the Cycle 10 Joint Officer Report. I'll go ahead and do a couple of highlights from each position here. From our Policy Director, this cycle they are focused on arranging meetings for the new Campus Fee Advisory Board now that fee review is finished. And so they're looking to engage this group in new meaningful ways in order to make the following fee process as effective as possible. They're also working on establishing an accessible way for KU student housing employees to voice their opinions and testimonies in order to bring issues in student housing to light. For the graduate president, they oriented new GSAB members to GSAB and had one-on-one meetings with them to answer any questions that they had. They also then met with the provost on the 11th of January here and discussed issues such as equitable 3G pay and insurance implications and updates. From our associate treasurer here, the week has been a very busy week in the treasurer's office, as I'm sure many of you on finance and fee can attest to. All right, so they spent the week working on fee review and also working with Andrew regarding the Educational Opportunity Fund. A special shout out to Ahmad Saidi, the chair of block allocations, Sahar, the chair of line allocations, Joffrey, Sarah Bowman, Casey, our fee managers, advisor, and everyone who helped out with fee. And you'll see that with a lot of the officer reports actually for tonight. And also wanting to make sure you stay warm and stay cool, friends. All right, for the president's report, Naya was invited to speak to Fort Hays State's Student Government Association to speak about Black History Month and how to support Black campus communities on and off campus. Just overall good collaboration with our fellow K-4 institutions. Naya and I met with Dr. Durham and the Chancellor, as well as the Chancellor's Chief of Staff to discuss issues related to student housing, cases of student discrimination, discussing the student fees history and feedback from the student survey for that fee, and also discussing the Chancellor's vision for KU and student involvement in higher education. And then we also got an update following the town hall hosted by the Chancellor and the Provost that a section for sexual assault in Title IX and Civil Rights Resources is going to be added to all students' Canvas pages, and it was based on student suggestions. And so if you haven't seen that on your Canvas yet, feel free to peruse those resources. For the Internal Affairs Director, the mentorship program applications are still open. The deadline is going to be March 1st for those applications, so please be sure to get that in if you'd rather be a mentor or a mentee. In terms of my updates from Senex University Senate, the University Senate Executive Committee meeting on the 15th of February approved a comment period for a resolution on shared governance at KU. This resolution details a history of disrespect and lack of consultation of shared governance at the University of Kansas, specifically of the faculty, staff, and student senates. So Senex will be revisiting this resolution on the 1st of March 2022. And then that is going to be most likely approved to go into the University Senate. A few other things to watch out for University Senate is updates to the compassionate withdrawal policy, which actually one of our fellow senators, Camden Baxter, worked on. Updates to the standards of committee members and grad student oral exams, and updates to the English proficiency documentation for undergrad students. The next University Senate meeting is going to be scheduled for that 3rd of March 2022, this next week. All right, let's see, I also participated in campus fee hearings, no need to reiterate that here. And as you can see, we are now moving towards hybrid formats for the foreseeable future for students' assembly meetings, so expect that as we continue through the semester. From our social justice director here on Sunday, 2/20, Daphne was invited to serve as a panelist for University Honors Planning Your Honors Path webinar, where she talked to the freshman and sophomore honors students about the role in Student Senate and what our organization does for our whole on campus. EUF applications have all been submitted and are in the process of being reviewed. Deliberations are scheduled to take place this Thursday on this week. Daphne's also spent the rest of the time meeting with Teach for America and planning the DEI retreat, which we are excited to share information about with you all. Feel free to go ahead and peruse the officer report to go and see that. It's going to take place on Tuesday, the 12th of April, 2022, and it's going to be held in Asher Plaza outside the Kansas Memorial Union. As of right now, they're planning on being 3 to 4 food trucks, as well as campus orgs tabling, a very special performance and speaker. And you're just going to have to find that out as we post announcements later in the future. For our government relations director, this week multiple meetings were conducted regarding our trip in April to the U.S. Capitol. Also gathering responses and reviewing them throughout the week for contacting folks on that trip. We're finishing registration here for that as well. And please make sure to watch the Kansas legislative session here as we continue to see legislation being reviewed for this cycle there. From the Chief of Staff, the Student Senate courts are officially up and running after years of being silent and almost inactive. The first case of the year was heard last week, and the court ruled in favor of the KU African Drum Ensemble to fund an honorarium, even though they hadn't submitted paperwork on time. And Umberto wants to give a huge round of applause and shout out to the Chief Magistrate and the justices of this court, since we got overall great feedback in regards to how the hearings were conducted. A very professional and pleasant experience overall. And so we're seeing the Student Senate courts getting more effective with their work here. And then next cycle, we will also have a bill coming through to ask for funding to pay for the judicial branches, since that is something that is guaranteed in the Constitution now for their stipends. And Umberto would also like to give a big round of applause to everyone for having the smoothest and most collaborative fee review session in the last several years. And then, let's see, finally from our treasurer, continued shout outs to the block line and fee review committees here, as well as the DEI line, led by Ton for the distribution of that funding as well. This cycle, we have over $13,000 in requests from student groups to review tonight. And if you know any student groups who are interested in applying for Senate funding, please visit thestudentsenate.ku.edu/apply. And with that, that is the end of the Joint Officer Report. Do we have any questions?
Do folks either in person or online have any questions for Ethan? Or any of the other reports that were mentioned?
If not, feel free to peruse this document. It is located on the Students Assembly Channel Teams, and so you can go ahead and submit questions to the appropriate staff members related to that.
Yep. Seems no other questions. Thank you so much, Ethan.
All right, thank you.
And I give the chair back to
you. So now we'll move on to the next item on our regular agenda, and that is Bill 2022-45, a bill to fund CCO's events and silence packing program. Oh, yes, the consent agenda. I skipped right over that. All right, do I see a motion to approve the consent agenda? See a motion from Prasad. Do I have a second? See a second from Julia? Gabby. Things just stick. All right, so with that, the motion's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any opposition to this action? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move to a vote on this matter. All right, that poll has now been created here. I will vote yes if you would like to approve the consent agenda, no if you would not like to approve it, and abstain if you would like to abstain from voting. I'll let that run for about 2 minutes, hopefully not as long as last time.
It's very you have to understand. It's common. Susan was like, yeah, I don't know, this always happens. Yeah,
We are looking for 3 more votes. We do have 1 vote that we have to throw out due to them not being a non-voting member. But other than that, we are looking for 3 more voting members. Just 1 more reminder online that we are still looking for 1 more vote to reach our quorum of 33. We did have 1 vote that we had to throw out, so you do see 33 votes right now on screen, but it's actually 32 voting members.
We have I only asked because he's singing and dancing right now, so it's very possible.
We've now reached our quorum here. Is there anyone who hasn't voted that has the ability to do so? All right, seeing no opposition, I'll go ahead and move to end the vote. And with a vote of 32 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 abstention, this motion clearly passes. All right, now we get to move on to the regular agenda. All right. And with that, we're moving on to Bill 2022-45, a bill to fund CCO's events and silence packing program. All right, and do we have a presentation and or a motion? A presentation from Hamad. Hamad, would you like 5 minutes or 2 minutes?
Let's do 2, and if you guys don't understand what's going on, you can add 3 minutes after. Cool?
Perfect.
Hi there, everyone. This is an event put on by CCO, and they're asking for partial funds for an event that's happening on March 29th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. 4 p.m. and it's going to be an honorarium paid to an organization that's bringing an exhibition to the front of Watson Lawn. The space has been actually already reserved. Contracts have already been made, and they're actually collaborating with a couple different organizations. One of them, or a couple of them, we actually already interact with, that being the Kansas Suicide Prevention Hotline, CAPS, Bert Nash, and National Alliance on Mental Illness. So with that, I'm going to let the organizer speak a little bit about the event, encouraging you to show up, and then if you have any questions, you can ask them.
Perfect. Hi. So my name is Tabitha, and I am one of the founders and current co-coordinators for Hops Mind through the Center for Community Outreach. So just a little bit on who Hops Mind is. So we focus on the promotion of and engagement in mental health advocacy, education, and direct service. Our aim is to provide meaningful opportunities for enrollment on campus and in the Lawrence community related to mental health. And another one of our goals is to form a Katy community of empowerment, acceptance, and support surrounding mental health. So what exactly is Send Silence Packing? So he's kind of covered it a little bit, but it's a 6 to 8 hour display, so it'd be here all day. And what they do is they bring approximately 1,000 backpacks, approximately 250 of which have personal stories of people that have been lost to suicide. And its goal is to inspire action for suicide prevention and for mental health awareness, specifically at KU is what we're aiming for. So kind of the when and the where. March 29th is the date from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our outdoor location will be Watson Lawn because it's a good area with a lot of attraction.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions on the floor, I do need a motion. Motion, Mercedes? Second. Sadie has a question. Okay, so do I see a motion to extend speaker's time by 3 minutes?
No,
She has a
Call the question.
I would like
Okay.
to vote.
All right, so Max has called a question, and then Sadie has seconded that motion. Do we have any opposition to the motion of calling this legislation to question? All right, brilliant. Then we'll go ahead and move towards a vote. Thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, that poll is now going live in the chat. Do you approve Senate Bill 2022-45? Yes, if you would like to approve this funding request. No, if you would not like to approve this funding request. And abstain if you would like to abstain from this vote.
Be cool if we start presenting while you guys are voting.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that.
Cool. Okay, next group that's going to be presenting to us tonight while you're voting and hopefully reaching quorum is CCO's Earth. So, cool fact, they have an awesome piece of land on campus that is right now behind the PSO office on West Campus. So, I learned a lot just by listening to them. I'm going to let them take over a little bit and talk about their organization and what they're trying to do. And when you guys want me to scroll down, just let me know. They're online, by the way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hamad. Thank you guys all for giving us the opportunity to speak today. We are the coordinators of CCO Earth. It's Emmy here, Kelly, and Hiroko. And this is just a little bit about Earth. So go ahead and you can scroll down, Hamad. Thank you very much. So our mission for CCO Earth is just to provide students with a big opportunity to learn more about our Earth, about sustainability through providing their own food through the campus garden, and just to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to learn about these sustainable products and sustainable methods for food production. And we can scroll down.
So what is CCO? It's KU's Environmental Education and Community Service Program, and we're dedicated to providing KU students with opportunities to promote sustainability while also directly assisting community members dealing with food insecurity. And we are run mainly from our student garden, located on West Campus. We have 4,800 feet of land dedicated growing produce for the Lawrence community.
So just a little bit about us. We're going to run through this pretty fast so that we keep it down to time, but we are entirely student run. We're one of the 13 groups, and all of us currently are students here at KU. And you can go ahead.
So student opportunities and partnerships, we have our student gardeners program. It's a student-run garden of 46 members that participate in volunteer days like Super Service Saturday. In the campus cupboard, we donate and harvest produce available to all KU students and faculty.
All right, do we have a motion to extend speakers' time? All right, I see a motion from Wesley. How much? 3 minutes. All right, do I see a second? Second from Sadie. All right, and we'll go ahead and see is there any opposition in the chamber to extending speakers' time by 3 minutes?
Perfect. If it's okay with you guys, we'll just go ahead and scroll down to the 3 events that we're asking for funding. So the first thing, one of the biggest thing is going to be, it should be our garden supplies, our garden tool slide. Sorry about that. So the first thing we're asking for is garden tools. So replacing a wheelbarrow and a weasel in the garden. This is super important because we want all of our students to have the opportunity to work hands-on with real tools, real work in the garden. So they have the opportunity to use them themselves. A couple of our items are worn down, like the weasel and the wheelbarrow. So these are some of the things that we're asking to replace. The next thing is our garden plants. That'll be the next slide down, and what we're asking to do is we're going to be planting in new blueberry plants, new peach trees, and then a host of varieties of vegetables here in the garden in the spring. All of our food goes to the campus cupboard, so it's super important that we ask them and our student gardeners their input on what they want us to provide. So we got a survey out, we decided on all of our plants, and those will be it. And then the last thing that we're asking to do is a big wood garden bed workshop. So this is an event that's going to be available to all students, like all of our opportunities. And here we're going to be making wood beds by scratch. We're ordering all the materials, the wood, the tools, the nails, everything to make it, and then the students will be constructing them there in the garden. So this way, they're not only able to work at the garden to harvest their own food, but actually learn how you can make these things in your home to make a sustainable thing. And down is the budget details of the breakdown of how much the wood garden is going to cost, the garden tools, and the spring plants. It's a request of $1,115 total, and if you scroll down one more, that should be the slide with all of the very specific details on the request. So thank you guys very much again for listening to us today. I'm sorry we went over time, but if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them. Thank you.
All right, we currently have 1 minute left for questions. Are there any on the floor? Currently, I will not entertain a motion until we finish this current vote that we're on. So we are still looking for 3 more votes on that past motion to meet quorum. And so until that finishes, we'll go ahead and wait on the other motion. But it is very much recognized.
Cool. Thank you, Emmy.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Elaine, we have about 2 more groups in front of you, and then we'll bring you in, okay?
That sounds good.
All right, so now we have reached 33 votes for our motion to approve Senate Bill 2022-45. Has anyone not voted on this that has the ability to do so? All right, seeing no opposition, I will go ahead and move to close this vote. And with a vote of 32 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, this motion clearly passes. Now I'll go ahead and move to the motion to vote on Senate Bill 2022-47 for the CCO Earth Garden. Is there any opposition to this action? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and get that poll posted.
We voted no. I think it's
Who voted no?
Yeah.
You want me to tell you right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Let's send it first.
yeah, I'll go ahead and send this.
This is for you guys, so you don't have to.
I'm curious.
Kind of weird.
It's on the record, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that poll is now posted. Do you approve Senate Bill 2022-47? And as for the vote record request, the one no was from Senator Cynthia Asiaka. All right, and we'll go ahead and let that motion run. And do we have our next student group up here? Perfect. All right, so you will have, would you like 2 minutes or 5? 5? All right. Your time starts now.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm presenting a bill on behalf of the Undergraduate Business Council. They are asking for funding.
Hi, everyone. Can we please have order for our presenters? All right, thank you. You can continue.
They're asking for funding for an essential piece of equipment for their student-run business. So to tell you more about that, I have the director of the J Cafe and the president of UBC.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Sam Rinke. I'm the current president of the Undergraduate Business Council. On with me is Madison May, our current student director of the J Cafe. So just to start off, and thank you all for spending your evening with us. We really appreciate it. If you don't know who we are, we're the Undergraduate Business Council of the UBC, and we're essentially the umbrella organization for 19 student-led organizations in the School of Business, which means that we help provide funding and promotional opportunities to these organizations that we help represent. We consist of a 9-person executive board, which includes people like myself and Madison, and we also have 4 committees that are open to all students at KU: Club Outreach, DEIB, Marketing, and Student Voice. And also, as the UBC, we operate a student-led J Cafe, or student-led run business, which helps generate all of the UBC funding that we have that we give back to student organizations. So now to talk about our request, I'll hand over to Madison.
So the reason we come to you guys today is because our current espresso machine is broken, and this is clearly an issue to a coffee shop because we can't efficiently run our business without a properly working machine. So we're looking at a new machine that costs about $12,000, and this may seem expensive, but we've done our research on this, and it's also recommended by KU Dining. So we know it's a good machine, and it's also required by our vendor, I guess, that's supplying it. And it is a 7 to 10 year life, so it should last us a long time as well, so it's a good investment. And this new machine will also minimize our waste and improve efficiency for our business because we can save our supplies and our products that we've been wasting on this broken machine.
Yeah, and thankfully too, we're not requesting the full $12,000 from all of you. We're only requesting a fraction of it, $4,000. ultimately, just to kind of go over why we need your help. We're still recovering from 2020 and 21, which I'm sure all student organizations can say. In that year, we made a transition to Starbucks branding, which cost around $7,000. And also, COVID just absolutely decimated our sales of the J Cafe. We were, running a net loss almost the entire year just due to restrictions on eating and drinking within our buildings here on campus. But also, we do continue to operate. We've allocated approximately $30,000 to clubs in the School of Business over the past 2 years. But ultimately, receiving your help here from students, and it would really help mitigate any cash flow worries that we do have. Instead of having to pay for the full $12,000, any financial support that we could receive would really help mitigate those worries so that we're able to continue operating, being self-sufficient, and providing for these student organizations that we help represent. So really, thank you for your time. We'd love to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, as of right now, we have about 1:50 on the floor for questions. Are there any questions? Yeah.
What are the alternate sources of funding you currently have? And if you ask the business school for money, are they one of the alternate sources?
Yep, that's a great question. We currently have been running our own fundraising campaign. We've raised, if I can remember correctly, $1,057 just at the School of Business. And also our faculty advisor was in talks with the Dean of the School of Business, and she said that she'd be happy to work with us on some alternative funding sources after we explore fundraising such as you all tonight.
Thank you.
All right, minute 17 on the floor. Do we have any other questions in the chamber? Rosetta? Can we get a mic passed, Rosetta? Thank you, Hamlet.
So, what percent of the 30,000 goes to the 4 public clubs?
Sorry, what do you mean by 4 public clubs?
You said that there are 4 clubs that are open to any student, and 30,000 was raised that goes to those clubs.
Those 4 committees are internal parts of the UBC. The 19 figure on that same slide, if we go back to the second one.
Yeah.
Second slide, sorry. Yeah, the 19 student-led organizations, that's the money that the 19,000 is going to. So the 4, those are internal committees. They don't receive that 30,000. That 30,000 is set specifically for business clubs that are open to any students here at KU. They're self-registered. So that 19 is where that 30,000 is going to. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. And then another question.
All right, do I see a motion to extend speakers time by 4 minutes? I see one from Max. Do I have a second? I see a second from Camden. All right, and we'll go ahead and extend speakers time by 4 minutes.
So is Starbucks requiring you to get that machine?
Yeah, essentially yes, because it's the machine that, what was
I can speak to that. Yeah, so essentially we've been working in contact with our Nestle vendors as well as Starbucks. It's the espresso machine that's used all across campus. It's also the espresso machine that all of our baristas train on when they work here at the union. They train at the union. So it's essentially making sure that our operations are aligned with other coffee shop operations here on campus.
Okay, and then are any of those other coffee shop operations funded by Senate?
I really don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately. You can answer that.
Yeah, so we do not fund the KU dining operation because it's self-sufficient, but this is a student-led business, so it is different in that sense because it's fully student operated. As far as whoever's managing, not just working inside the business, but also managing the finances of it. It's 100% technically a franchise. As well as student groups.
That should be it.
All right, and I see Wesley has a question back here, so could we get the mic to Wesley? 2 minutes 40 left.
Are the student employees at the J Cafe paid the same rate as other KU dining employees, Or are they just KU Dining employees just in general that are interchangeable, that it's only student managed?
So our employees are not under KU Dining, they're employees of the business school, and so they don't receive the same wages as KU Dining. It's different, separate. What was the other question?
I'll add to that as well. Currently, the baristas at our J Cafe are making $9 an hour or $9.50. Operations manager, and then the managers are making around $10 to $10.50 an hour. We've been advocating for those to increase so that they're more comparable to KU Dining, which has just been kind of a constant struggle this past year. But as Madison said, they are under the umbrella. They're paid for by business school fees, so they're under the umbrella of the B school and not KU Dining. Was there another component of that question?
The other component was this?
No, that answered both of those.
Okay. All right, we have 1:30 left on the clock. Anyone else have any other questions for our presenters? All right, Camden has a question. Yeah, can you get that mic back on around?
Hi, thank you for your presentation. It's a two-part question. First, as it currently stands, how much revenue do you expect to bring in from JFK with the new system? And second off, building off that, are there any plans to raise student wages beyond the $9 that you're currently paying?
I can take the second one, and then I'll hand over to Madison for the first one. So for plans to raise student wages, we've currently been working on an internal scholarship in the meantime to help some of the managers specifically, since their pay is so different from what managers at KU Dining coffee shops make. But we've also been advocating with the dean of the School of Business to increase those wages. So we've been having those discussions pretty much all semester long. So we're in the process of working on that. And then the expected revenue, Madison can address that.
So for the future, after that we get this machine, well, I guess I'll preface with current machine we have now, we've seen a decline in sales just because it's caused for longer lines, longer wait times, and people can't get their drinks in between classes like they used to with a working machine. So we expect the revenue to go back to where it was and possibly even, I guess, still continue increasing with a working machine.
All right, thank you for that. And questions extend by 5 minutes from Max. Do I see a second? Or I see a second? Okay, I will say we can't call the question on this bill yet. We are still waiting for one more vote on the other piece of legislation. So we'll go ahead and go to Fazad's question and then Wesley's question. One person was a non-voting member.
Can I request that too? We had this issue last week. Last week's group
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So since adopting the certification with Starbucks, adjusting for COVID prior to the machine breaking, did you see an increase in revenue? And does it make sense to continue with that certification if it's requiring this machine? Are there any other avenues? Do you want to stick with that certification?
Yeah. So I can answer that, and it's really tough to immediately establish has Starbucks essentially been a driver in revenue, because we adopted it last year, and last year COVID just absolutely wrecked our expectations of what sales were going to be. And I can't nail the revenue figures off the top of my head from what they were beforehand, but ultimately this semester, we upload our financial information, we're seeing significantly an uptick in sales. So we do think that just having the Starbucks recognition and name brand has definitely been helpful. But even if we were to drop Starbucks, this is still an espresso machine that our baristas are training on. And it's still one of the more cost-effective ones. It's a lot of other espresso machines can range from $20,000 to $30,000. So this one's a lot cheaper. So even if, we still think it's one of the more financially smart options to go forward.
That should be it. Thanks.
If you pass that mic to Wesley, and then as soon as Wesley's finished, we can then motion to call the question on this legislation.
So from the sound of it, the student managers don't control student wages. So how much control do students actually have over the operations of the J Cafe? Because if it is only the profits that go to the student groups or all revenues, if it's only profits, then why can't they control wages?
So it's different from wages. So the business school covers our wages, but we fully operate on our own with ordering, like supply chain ordering, the HR, scheduling, hiring, controlling all the financials. But we have received help from the business school in order to cover the wages of the baristas so that we can still run our business and be fully self-sufficient in that sense. So
yeah, and I'll add to it too. It makes a lot of sense for the B school to help pay the student wages just for tax implications for our organization and also the school of business. So I think that's been, the J Cafe was established like 15 years ago, so I don't know what a lot of the decision making was going back then. However, this has just kind of been the way our organizations run. But it's been a great student-led opportunity for people like Madison and our operations managers to understand what goes into marketing a student-run business, what goes into the operations of the supply chain side of a business. So while we don't have control over the wages, we still have a ton of control over the actual operations.
I have a motion.
Oh, a motion?
Let's vote on it.
Oh, vote on it? Okay. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and close the voting on Bill 2022-47. I'm imagining, is there anyone left on the floor that has not voted on that has the ability to do so? I see none. We will go ahead and close that vote. And with a vote of 34 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, this motion clearly passes. And now we will go ahead and move on to Camden's motion and Prasad second for a motion to vote on the Undergraduate Business Council's bill. All right, so y'all can go ahead and step down. Thank you.
We're going to go out of order for this next one because there was a request. Since it has to go to class.
So you're in a motion to amend the agenda?
Correct.
Do I see a second?
Second.
All right, second from Sadie. Is there any opposition to amending the agenda to move, which bill is it?
Bill 50 up to the top.
All right. Above the Byron's. All right, any opposition to that action? Seeing none, that motion is in order. All right, and I am going ahead and posting to you approve Senate Bill 2022-48 in the chat now. This is the bill to approve funding for the Undergraduate Business Council. Vote yes if you would like to approve this funding, no if you would like to not approve this funding, and abstain if you would like to stay out of this discussion. And with that, I'll go ahead and allot 5 minutes to ACMI and their presenters.
Okay, Elaine, I'll go ahead and present, and then you can just let me know when to change slides.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elaine Huang. I'm the president of the KU Asian Classical Music Initiative. I'm very happy to present here. KU ACME is designed to bring awareness to the world of the AAPI, which is Asian American, and Pacific Islander classical music composers through concerts and conference. And we are devoted to the promotion and the presentation of the AAPI classical music, as well as serving as a forum for the advancement and dissemination and interchange of AAPI music from all around the world. Next one, thank you. So what we have done so far is we have successfully hosted a concert last year on October 16th in Murphy Hall, and we have this 26 musicians joining us to perform, including faculties and students. And we have more than 110 attendances and 150 people watching online in the same time. And there was some newspaper, and we got some reviews on that, and it's pretty good.
So thank you for the next one. We are going to host the first ever student drive in the U.S. Asian Classical Music Conference in April 8th to April 9th at the University of Kansas. For this conference, we will have several lectures, several concerts, and we already have a call for papers and call for tours and performers, and we got a lot of application right now. Next page, thank you. So for us, the first thing is we already secured Dr. Chen Yi, who is a Pulitzer nomination composer. She will come and giving a keynote speak. And also we have opportunities for all the students because we have the several lectures and concerts present in 2 days. And they will get a chance to work and to know those world-class professors and musicians all over the world. And they will win the prize from a presentation competition for us. And also, we already increasing a lot of international influence. Our call received more than 10 different universities, professors, and students applications right now, and they from several countries from all over the world. Next, thank you. And if you have interested in our organization, welcome to search on our website. It's kucmi.com. And for our budget plan right now, as I list here, we have the 2,500 commission fee and plus the traveling fee for Dr. Kecha Chen, who is the Curtis Institute faculty, and she commissioned a whole new song cycle will be premiered in the opening concert. And we have 500 for the Dr. Chen Yi's keynote speak. We have 500 and actually $1,000 for the guest composer workshop from John Kingston and Tonya Ko, world-class composers. And we have 1,600 for refreshments, 1,400 for opening reception dinner, and we also have 2,000 for banners printings and photography. For the full concert, it's right up to October. We already secured a commission fee to the Dr. Chen Yi, who is our keynote speaker here. And she is 5,100 for her commission fee. And we have 2,500 for the guest performer. We already received the money from the Hall Center KU Racial Equality Scholarship. This is a faculty grant, and we apply with the East Asian study, and we are very lucky to get some of them. And we have received the money from the School of Music, the IBS, and also Pepsi Fund. Next page, thank you. So what we are requesting here is we want to request 4,500 to 3 guest performance and masterclass and travel and honorarium between the conference and the concert. They will offer masterclass here, and they will give a recital here, and we will let all the students and all the local community come free. And it's a great chance for all of us to learn the beauty of the music from the API community. A good chance for everybody to learn music from the world-class musicians. Yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I can confirm that they did receive 2,500 from DEI funds, so that total went up. I just haven't sent it over yet.
That on? All right, do we have any questions for our presenters? We are currently out of time. All right, seeing none, we are still waiting on 2 more votes to come in for the approval of Senate Bill 2022-48. We corrected it.
We just clarified with them. They thought their voting intentions we had in our institution, but they're not going to do it anymore.
Any questions?
Okay, happening.
Cool. Elaine, thank you very much. You're good to go.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So we now have our quorum. Is there anyone who hasn't voted that has the ability to do so? Seeing no opposition, I'll move forward to the poll. All right, and one more vote came in there. So with a vote of 24 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative, and 3 abstentions, this motion clearly passes. And now I am seeking a motion to pass the bill 2022-50. Right, motion from Gabby. Do I see a second? Anyone have a second? Second from Camden. All right, is there anyone in opposition to moving towards a vote for a bill to fund Asian Classical Music Initiative? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move towards that vote.
Hey Anna, I gave you access to control my screen. Go ahead and try while we're getting ready for it. There's arrows on the bottom right too. It's okay. I can do it if it doesn't work.
All right, that vote has now went out. Do you approve Senate Bill 2022-50? Yes, if you would like to approve legislation. No, if you would not like to approve it. Abstain if you wish to stay out of the discussion. And we will now move into our presentation for environs. Would 2 minutes or 5 minutes be better?
Let's do 3 minutes.
3 minutes? All right. 3 minutes are being allocated to the speaker.
This request is under $1,000, so I'm going to let the student group take over. We can fund the whole entire thing since it's a rental request through the rec center. So Anna, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Anna. I am a co-president of KU Environs. A little bit about our group. We are an environmental advocacy group at KU. We're actually the oldest environmental advocacy group at KU. We've got a focus on environmentalism and sustainability and building community around those subjects. So really we're focused on doing a lot of activities outside as a community. And a lot of what that includes is discussion, volunteering. We go for a lot of hikes in the local area as well as camping events. We also do some community gardening, bird watching, and partnering with other local wildlife organizations, as well as like educational movie nights. So the funding request I'm coming to you with tonight is for 3 camping trips that we are planning for this semester. We are hoping to get the equipment rental for 10 club individuals for each trip funded. And we will rent the equipment that we need through the KU Rec Center. The equipment included for each individual is a tent, a bag, and a pad, as well as the cost of firewood for each trip. This funding would be really awesome because it would enable us to bring 10 people on camping trips who don't have their own equipment, and most kids don't have their equipment. And that is all.
Any questions?
I have 1 minute left for questions. Any on the floor? We're on the teams.
Question, follow question?
Still waiting for votes, yes.
After this.
All right, that is in order. I see a second from Farzad. All right, perfect. So as of right now, we're standing at 23 votes on this bill. We need, let's see, that would be 10 more. So.
Evan is singing and dancing on stage.
I'm the delegate too. What? I'm the delegate too. That's not allowed in this.
Need a little constitutional minute, that's a nice little break, you know?
Committee as a whole. Thank you very much, Anna. You're good to go. Have all the student groups presented that were supposed to present? Okay. Congratulations, that was the most number of student groups that presented in front of you guys.
Get their votes through. I'm sure this poll was
Can we just send out the next one too at the same time? Stopping us from doing that.
That's hard to manage, and then you might have people voting on the wrong one.
Yeah. I don't know. Me and Sadie are getting ideas tonight.
It's one of those things that sounds really good.
The ideas we have as finance.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's a real brain software.
Removing hearings entirely.
Expediting the process.
No, seriously, like if you guys want, we can possibly remove the hearings too. And just do it all recording, like a line and block. We didn't do that for free. We did it for
Hi, folks.
If you are online and you haven't had a chance to vote, please do so we can move to the next bill. If you're distracted doing something else, just come to your computer real quick and vote, please.
And then please be sure to stay on your computer because we'll have another vote coming through directly after that.
Let's call people up. Who's not here? Did you know we can dial people in?
All right, we have 3 more votes that need to be coming through. All right, 2 more votes to come through. All right, we now have a total of votes here that's satisfactory. Is there anyone that hasn't voted on this that has the ability to do so? Seeing none, I'll move to delete this poll. And with a vote of 32 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and 1 abstention, this motion clearly passes. Now please stay, because I will now be posting another poll here, unless there's any opposition in the chamber to us voting on this next piece of legislation. Seeing that, the poll will be up momentarily. All right, the vote for environments is now up. Vote yes if you would like to approve their funding, No if you would not like to approve the funding, and abstain if you would like to stay out of the discussion. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move us to legislation. Senate Constitution, Title II, Article 8, Section 4.1. I believe Mary is presenting that one. Mary, how much time would you like? 2 or 5 minutes?
Let's do 2.
All right.
Do I need to read it?
Yes, please.
Oh.
Or at least just the changes you're making. Yep.
Cool. So ultimately, I'm just trying to get the DEI fund enough members to vote. So I'm going to scroll down and show the changes. Oh, those are the changes. So ultimately, we are going to rename the vice chair to the vice chair of Social Justice Council, get rid of diversity, inclusion, social justice. We're going to get voting members from the SGD, the ETC, and the OMA. Previously, before the Constitution rewrite, we had those members be voting members. It got changed somewhere in the process. Oh, my bad.
Window.
Oh. Wait.
Oh.
There we go. How do I make this big again? Oh, there we go.
To the side.
Like I was saying, before the SGD, ETC, and OMA had voting rights, they don't anymore, and so we're just trying to correct that mistake. We had DEI line happen, and the situation ended up where we had 2 people voting instead of all 4. It's not fair to the student body to have only 2 people voting for thousands of dollars. So ultimately, I think this would be a good fix. It worked in the past. We didn't have any issues with having this many people vote. So yeah.
I see a motion from Max. Do I see a second? I see a second from Sadie. All right. So we can go ahead and move to vote on that. This is on how this other vote is turning out. All right, maybe we can't vote on that because this bill only has 22 responses thus far. We need 11 more for quorum. 10 more for quorum.
I was trying to do all of the background without oh
Folks online, please make sure you are voting. It has only been 2 minutes since the last vote. Please, please, please cast your votes. We need it for quorum and to move on to the next bill.
Team quorum.
So excited.
So I personally know that I just asked the library design. That's so they have to go through like a whole hearing process. But the thing is, like, basically that has to be in the community, like a number or a index number, because then like the process that.
Also, we just
There's also
4 more votes, folks. 4 more votes. If you are online, please vote. If you are my roommate and you haven't voted, please vote.
I'm not talking about my roommates like that.
So it's my understanding that student senate is meeting with roommates now?
I'm sure it's so well.
We're all going. We'll be there now. Yeah. Where is Wilson? Just for
Oh, there's a question on the. There's a question on
That's
the.
officially on the record now, by the way.
Who was it?
I'll send you the transcript.
Hi, Holly. What do you need to say? Holly,
Am I allowed to ask it?
do you have a question on the floor for like environs or?
No, I had a question in regards to Mary's bill.
Oh, sure.
So in fee review, it's stipulated how many graduates and undergraduates are voting members, but here it's not. And I just want to make sure that graduate students do get a say. And there isn't any stipulation that there is a 2/3 undergrad, 1/3 grad. So I was wondering if we could get that stipulated to make sure that graduate students are equally represented as voting members on this fund.
From my understanding, it's 4 and 4, right? Because 4 of the voting members, or maybe it's 3. It's 4. Yeah.
Fee review is 3. I don't know.
Yeah, in regards to this bill, right?
Sorry, yeah.
SGD, ETC, OMA, those can all be grad students, and usually they are all grad students. They're appointed by the directors of those entities.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm sure they are. I'm just saying, can we have that added in writing within the Constitution with the edits that it should be proportionally represented, because otherwise there's no safeguard for graduate students to have their say.
I will say, if you do want an amendment like that, because it would substantially change the bill, we would need to vote on that amendment to be added to the legislation.
Okay.
We haven't motioned to vote on it yet.
As the author, I don't know how comfortable I am telling the SGD, ETC, and OMA who they have to appoint. If that makes sense?
Yeah, I'm not saying that you should tell them. I'm saying that it could say, like, this board shall consist of, and however many members there are, 1/3 has to be graduate students. It could be from anywhere. It doesn't have to be from those specific entities.
How many grad students do we have in Student Senate right now?
6, I think.
Can you guarantee that one of those 6 people would be willing to join the DEI fund?
If they're here, they can nominate themselves.
Sorry, Mary, I couldn't hear you. I've not got very good internet. I apologize.
No, you're totally fine. I'm just saying, if there's only 6 grad students in Student Senate right now, are you willing to guarantee that there's going to be one grad student willing to be on the fee review committee, or not fee review, I'm sorry, DEI fund board?
Yeah, because they don't have to be a senator, right?
No, they don't
So
have
they
to.
can come from anywhere across campus. They don't have to come from Student Senate.
Correct, but are you going to, who's in charge of ensuring that this happens? Because
that's what I did for fee review.
All right, we're getting into a bit of a back and forth here, so I'm going to go ahead and close this discussion. Do you have an amendment you want to bring forward, Holly, related to language?
Yeah, I guess the amendment I would bring forward is that it has to be proportionally represented, like it is in fee review. So, like 2/3 are undergrad and 1/3 is graduate students.
All right. Do you want to draft up that amendment and then come in with the next speech to amend the legislation?
Yeah, I can do that if that's what you need me to do.
Yeah, because then we'll need to vote on the amendment and see if that passes.
Sure.
We're still currently running the vote on environs. As of right now, we still only have 31 responses on that. We need 2 more.
More votes.
Alright, as it stands right now, we still have only 31 voting members, and so I'm going to have our Internal Affairs Director read the roster until we get enough voting members.
Hello again. Noah Jensen. Dylan Morrell. Evan Wended. Nate Nielsen. Elena Raya.
Present.
Jet Semrick. Malik Benayed.
Present.
Blake Bush. Tanner Elton. He called present earlier. We just need one more vote, so please vote if you haven't. Or tell someone you know that can vote to vote, but not someone that can't vote. Dorothy Haggard.
I'm here.
Zach Nielsen. Tasman Benty. Jenny Lorraine Nielsen. Cynthia Saka. Natasha Medina.
Present.
Giovanna Pastor.
Present.
Quorum has been reached.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who hasn't voted on this motion that would like to do so if they are a voting member? Seeing none, I'll look forward to delete the poll.
Wait, hang on.
We reached quorum. Yeah. All right, and so with 31 votes in the affirmative, 1 vote in the negative, and 1 abstention, this motion clearly passes. Now moving forward, it does seem we have a neg speech on the floor. Holly, I'll allot you 2 minutes for this negative speech to introduce your amendment.
Thank you. I mean, I don't really want it to, I know it has to be negative, but I'm not against these changes. I just think that there should be the equity of it stating that graduate students have a certain proportion. Otherwise, this board is going to be filled with just undergraduate students voting for the whole student population, and that's not fair. And that's literally my vote as to why I would like the amendment to just be posted in there that 3 out of the 10 representatives should be graduate students. That's all I have to say.
We only have 7 reps.
And with that, if that's the end of Holly's speech, do we have questions on the floor?
Is there a motion to amend on the floor yet?
No, there is not a motion to amend. Unless Holly would like to make that motion.
I can make that motion if somebody wants to second me.
All right. And so where will you be placing this language in the bill?
I guess it can just be posted after each, like after J, or it can be posted before A, whatever everybody's amenable to. I'm not really bothered.
From what I'm seeing, I think it would be like probably in speaking and voting rights.
I'd just like to kill the negatives.
I'm just trying to make it clear. I'm not trying to add 3 graduate members. I'm trying to say out of those 10, 3 should be graduate students.
Maybe the language would be better with like speaking and voting rights. This board shall consist of the following, 3 of which shall be grad students.
Yeah. That looks lovely, Hamad.
All right. So Holly, that is the amendment that you would like to present.
That is the amendment I would love to present.
All right. Do we have a second to this amendment?
With K being removed, because I don't think K should be there.
Well, if there's not a second on the floor, then we don't do a negative speech. Because the amendment has to be adopted. The amendment has to be adopted.
My motion.
The negative.
Yeah, but the amendment hasn't been generated until we get a second.
Motion to call the motion.
Motion to call the question, even though there is a motion for an amendment on the floor.
Well, what's the time period, like, what's our limit for how long it takes a second?
Huh?
How long do we have to get a second?
Oh, well, there's not a limit, if anything, if there is a second to that motion.
Hypatia in the chat already said that she agrees with me, so Hypatia, you seconded my motion?
Okay.
Hypatia is seconding.
All right, and it seems like we have people who object to the amendment on the floor. The first neg speech I saw was from Wesley, and so I'll allow Wesley 2 minutes for that neg speech.
Alright, just let me know when you're ready. Is the mic working already?
Yep.
Alright, ready?
Yep.
Alright, so the main thing is that this is a pretty substantial change with like a lot of requirements that would sort of be difficult hurdles to overcome with zero planning for how has been thought through, because it hasn't gone through the committees, as we've talked about before. Both the chair of student rights and the vice chair haven't gotten to see this until today, and we would rather this not be voted on or accepted today, but rather be a separate amendment by Holly in the committees, because Holly was welcome to come and introduce this amendment during our Wednesday night meetings, which are at the same time as full Senate on every other Wednesday. So we would rather this come in next week through the committees, so that way everyone has enough time to figure out how to implement it consistently in the future, especially since the DEI panel has already had like consistent issues with attendance. So we don't want to compound that when this bill is supposed to fix that. So I urge everyone to vote no, because the people who are in charge of reviewing all constitutional amendments haven't gotten to see this, and we would just rather this go through the proper process of going through student rights as is constitutionally mandated as a separate bill.
And with that, we have 20 seconds remaining on the floor. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions in the chamber, are there any questions on the teams? All right, seeing none, Wesley and Pass, you may step down.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any positive speeches for the amendment? Motion to call the amendment to question. Perfect. Do I have a second? What was your name again?
Sophia.
Sophia, perfect. We have a second from Sophia here to call the amendment to question. Everyone, I ended up putting the wrong legislation number there, so I'm going to repeat that. All right, I am now sending that poll out. Do you approve the amendment to Senate Bill 2022-40 9:46. If you do approve of this amendment, please vote yes. If you do not, please vote no. And if you would like to abstain, please abstain.
Just pick on that fancy.
All right, we are at 29 votes. We need 4 more votes to maintain our quorum and continue to vote on this legislation. For folks online who may have not voted yet, we do require 3 more votes to continue on with tonight's business.
Or two more? Who's missing from the last one?
Turn that burner.
Who's missing? For the two?
That would take a lot of cross-referencing, just depending on when they voted, so as of right now, you think we have time? First person I see that voted on the last motion, but not on this one, I think is Eric A.
What's it called, Eric? Yes.
Is Evan still dancing?
Yes, Evan is still dancing. Yeah.
Voted on the last motion, that isn't voted on this motion yet.
Everyone's still meeting.
I know you're talking about the right move.
I can't, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm also like, that when you have no distraction, interaction is the only thing to make you feel down. You're not advised to drive to turn off.
Yeah, it's really just why you leave my name.
We're conscious of how helpful it is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's good.
Someone told me that don't. I don't know. Please don't be it's almost like.
I think we can reach this going on.
I'll drive.
Yeah,
Reaching backwards, like one of them can be, I'll drive, don't worry, I'll drive.
Hi, everyone. We will make about 3 more minutes for these last 2 votes to come in until like 8:45, and if not, we might have to adjourn the session due to lack of quorum.
No, don't. How many people?
Oh, we need 1 more vote now.
You are online. We already called them. Oh, we got it. You see? We got it.
So it turns out one of the folks that voted not a senator, so we are still looking for 1 more person.
Yeah, right. Pitchfork down. Protecting us. Do we need 2 people now? I thought one of them was big.
Yeah, no, we'll leave it into the number and then one less, so we just need 1 more.
Yeah, 1 more vote to meet quorum.
I can't really wait for that conversation. Well, you see, one time I was like 8. My sister was really good at it. Oh my God. Let's remember the response to my 8 I'm not my sister was 10, so I I've done this. It's not.
Seeing that we are not reaching quorum, how many folks are in favor of a special session being called next week?
What if we just move
That's like, can I just group media? Can we do this in Studx, the whole quorum situation?
What do you mean deal with?
Like, I don't know, adjust the requirement?
Well, you are.
Just bring an amendment.
Wait, is Murtaza on there?
That's
I am so moved to reconvene at a later date, though. I want that on the record.
I'm seconding that.
Yeah. All right, so, yeah, as it stands, it is 8:45 and we have still not reached quorum on this amendment. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this session due to lack of quorum. We are now unofficially adjourned.
I would suggest, like, if someone wants to bring up an amendment or quorum and have to make sure that,
we're gonna, like, you'll get a report from committee.
Thank you for trying, people. Have a good one.
Hey, at least we got funding.
Players have discovered the world of Bingo Blitz. Download now and enjoy the ride.